You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. This is Jason and Patricia Roan for the Ecosystem Approach, talking about this week's show, the shocking truth about channeled souls and dark energy. Jason, this is really worthy. It's great information.
You know, we've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm still shocked by the little details and nuances that we're learning from these people. And then so just for a recap,
okay.
I think it's important because if you haven't, this is the first time you've tuned in, you know, we started channeling Bashar, Abraham, and Seth, and they said, "We've been waiting for you." That was our first shock. We were just flabbergasted at that. And because they could see the work that we've been doing, which is removing this negative energy using the Ecosystem Approach show for almost 25 years.
Right.
And they said, "We could see you, and we've been waiting for you." And you know, and they could see our evolution.
Right.
You know, right now there's no way people don't see energy, they don't see evolution, they don't see what this is. And we didn't either. You know, we just kept going.
I admit that's true.
We were doing it because it
felt amazing.
Our intuition was saying, "You got to do this."
Yes,
but we didn't have any sort of outside confirmation, and that was really a big deal for us. Yeah. And then they said they'd help us communicate the missing piece, which is the way dark energy has interfered with people's hopes and dreams, their happiness,
and blocked them from even. In fact, actually, I think this is the biggest one: their purpose. Their as you hear. So, what is my soul purpose? That's probably one of the most common questions I get asked. And when you understand what your soul purpose is, then you can. I'll say it this way. Then you can put your head down and get the job done.
And live your life and focus on objectives. But we do it backwards.
Yeah, well,
we don't have any idea who we are.
No, most of us do not.
Half the time we're halfway through a career or whatever, say, "Yeah, I don't know what my purpose is," or
right.
Or,
I have this expertise here, but that's really not what I'm interested in.
Even if they, and it's not really about interests because people don't really get that. Purpose and interests are not quite the same.
No,
but this purpose is a feeling of deep inner satisfaction that when I get up every day, I know what I'm here to do.
Yes,
and that's huge.
Yes.
So. You know, they were going to help us with this. They were, you know, Bashar, Abraham, and Seth, they're going to help us get this idea about negative energy because it's so important. And the stuff that they had already channeled, you know, previously,
before we connected with them,
you know, was all true. But without this missing piece, it didn't make sense. It couldn't be implemented. It couldn't be.
That is correct.
Used.
And people were so. I'm going to use the word disappointed and even saddened that what they had said before they couldn't make it come to I'm going to say fruition. It didn't gel right.
Well, and probably more important, I think, is that there are some people that say, "Yeah, it worked," but it was a form of self-delusion.
Okay,
you know, and when you're trying to go this place. One of the things that we've learned that we know about human nature is that we can create illusions about the way we'd like things to be, as opposed to the way they are now. Now, I guess I realize that's a slippery slope because we create our own reality.
We do.
But some people create their own illusion of their reality.
Yes. And well said.
And that distinction isn't very clear a lot of times. No. So we were doing that and talking to Bashar, Abraham, and Seth.
Right.
And Ruth Bader Ginsburg came in.
She popped in.
And oh my gosh! And this is we were channeling and And this opened the floodgates to channeling a whole host of souls who would come forward.
That had stepped to the other side, recent and not so recent.
John Muir, who was the founder of the Sierra Club. Yes. Eleanor Roosevelt. Oh my gosh, she was the first lady probably the most famous first lady
of women's lib, and
she wouldn't call it women's lib. No, she
wouldn't at all.
But showing that the first lady had a real purpose and could do a lot of positive things.
Yes.
As a result of that,
and had influence.
Yes.
To do so.
Being the wife of the president, yes. And then Albert Einstein. Oh my gosh, and so for this week's show, if you're interested, which is why we do these preview shows,
is to help you get interested so that you'll remember to join us for our show
and tune in. And
yes,
we're talking to Samuel Clemens, who's also commonly known as Mark Twain.
Yes.
And that's, oh my gosh, these guys have so much to say.
And he's character, by the way.
We're limited by the time that we have.
That's true.
And then Jane Goodall. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of groundbreaking, but what we find interesting is,
and hope you do too,
and we'll be doing this as we go forward, which is, there was all the women, Eleanor Roosevelt,
mm-hmm.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Jane Goodall. Yes. And Eleanor, my friend who came in from a past life for me, and another friend.
Yes.
Her name is Eleanor as well.
But they suffered from the abuse, the difficulty of the prejudice for women.
Yes. And in fact, Eleanor suffered, I would say, probably the most.
And a lot of it was invisible to her, that she's just starting to see as we uncover it.
Yes.
That some of these details are just amazing, and so we created this alliance. Yes. So Bashar, Abraham, and Seth, but since they were so highly evolved, they didn't have earthly experience.
And so they didn't understand the needs of a human body, but they also didn't understand the essence of someone, the energy, not only their soul essence, but the essence of what was around them. They could see it, but they didn't understand the meanings of things.
And we're starting to see about these lineages around groups.
Oh, yes.
Albert Einstein didn't want to be recorded because he was embarrassed talking to a channeler.
Yes,
because in his scientific community, that would have been completely crazy.
Yes, unacceptable.
And this kind of work was for beatniks and hippies.
And the irony is that thank you, Albert. I came from the hippie movement.
My wife, I need to make this announcement. My wife was a hippie, Haight-Ashbury here in San Francisco.
Far out, man.
She was as hippie as they come. But I grew up 25 miles from there. Yeah.
And so it was, for lack of a better way to say it was in my face and all my friends. And, anyway, the point that we're getting at is there's
these preconceived notions that are coming from dark energy. We're starting to see that.
Yes.
They're lineages of belief systems that are just blocks to our collective evolution.
Exactly.
And it's not just about a single human body.
No, not at all. Not at all. So that's why Bashar, Abraham, and Seth lit us up on the other side and showed Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, Eleanor Roosevelt, Einstein, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and more. The bottom line is that these people saw this light and they're like, "Who are you? What are you?" And that's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg came in and she basically said, "We need to talk because I want to know who you are, what you're doing," and that sort of thing. And she was, for lack of a better way to say it, she was fascinated because we asked her the question, well, if you'd have known about this, could you have changed things for, yourself and others? And she was, I can't begin to tell you, it took me a few minutes to figure out what you had to offer, but I see now that had I known what you understand about energy, positive, negative, good and bad energy, she said, I would have approached things a whole lot.
It would have been life changing, or in her case, it would be life extending.
That's exactly right.
So there's so many examples that we have, and we ran out of time. But we're gonna. The most important thing is that if you're listening now and you want to be connected to this alliance and this information, make sure you go to our YouTube channel.
Yes,
the Ecosystem Approach with Jason and Patricia Roan. Make sure you subscribe. Not to help our numbers, but just so you can constantly get this in your feed
and understand. This will help you figure out who you are. So
and sign up for our newsletter, because that's gonna say, oh my gosh, you're giving so much of the little details in the newsletters that you wouldn't have in the show.
So be sure to watch the full version of this show. See the links below. This is Jason and Patricia Roan, and by the way, bring a friend. This is the Ecosystem Approach. Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.